Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're just jumping straight back in again. Spoiler warning if you haven't read the manga or seen the previous episodes, and with that, let's begin. At the end of the last episode, Silence had used her quick thinking to get Parvis's access pass and reveal what was truly happening with Ifrit's treatments. However, as she was going through the files relating to Ifrit, Parvis walked in, catching Silence off guard. This episode, we continue from where we left off as Parvis approaches Silence.
Professor Parvis.
It's okay, Silence. See it to your heart's content. These materials are meant to be given to you eventually anyway.
Professor, what is this? Project Diabolic? What's the deal with this experiment?
My apologies. I couldn't reveal a lot of information beforehand due to its classified nature, causing you to not be able to completely understand the purpose of the experiment. I hope you understand.
Understand what? Understand that you're conducting an illegal human experimentation? So your goal wasn't to cure Ifrit. You weren't even trying to prevent her from losing control of her Originium arts. You were hoping for the moment she becomes a weapon.
Silence. When you took this project, did you not realize that this was human experimentation?
What? I don't understand. Why? Didn't you previously object to the experiment Joyce had undergone?
Joyce? Oh, that, of course. Joyce is an excellent researcher. Her intelligence and life should be placed on work that is far more valuable. Getting hurt because of an experiment wasn't worth it. For experiments like that, if we had placed a recruitment notice, we would have gotten as many desperate volunteers as we needed.
Are you saying that Ifrit's life isn't valuable? It's still her life!
Of course Ifrit's life is valuable. She's one of the few test subjects that can endure the Flame Demon Shard. Her sacrifice and contributions to this experiment will be remembered in history.
Are you insane? Illegal human experimentation! It's inhumane! It's academic taboo! How could you do such a thing?
I don't understand, Silence. I really don't understand. Scientific progress has always came with sacrifices. How can you forget about that?
Exchanging human lives for progress, that's not science, that's a crime!
Sometimes it takes a test subject's life to advance science. Sometimes it takes a scientist's lives themselves. We can even say that the most powerful driving force for scientific progress is war. Who knows how many children like Ifrit have died in wars? The many technologies we have today were born out of countless sacrifices. Saying that to sacrifice a life is inhumane, yet enjoying these technologies, it's hypocritical. As for Ifrit, we saved her life. I even let you take care of her daily needs. Not only can she live a worry-free life, she's able to contribute greatly to science. Compared to the other children outside who are dying to oropathy, she's very lucky.
That's wrong.
This child, she is giving her everything for science, and yet you're criticizing science itself.
No, that's...
Suddenly, Parvis approaches and places a hand on Silence's shoulder.
Calm down, Silence. Don't let your emotions get in the way of rational thinking. Rationality is in the conscience of everyone in Rhine Lab. It's also the reason why you've been doing so well. It was you who personally implanted the Flame Demon Shard into Ifrit. Project Diabolic would not have made it this far without you.
Silence then breaks away from his grasp before shouting,
No! It's because you lied to me! Rhine Lab isn't supposed to be like this! This is all because of what you've done in secret! I will report this to Control, and Saria! Saria would never allow you to do this!
Saria? Silence. The Hayden Lab incident has already happened for quite some time. Have you seen any reports on the media about the truth? Do you remember who was in charge of handling that incident? That's right. The defense section responsibilities include not only internal security, but foreign affairs as well. Special rescue operations, incident investigation, and in order to protect the interest of Rhine Lab, It would carry out all PR activities required to do so, by any means necessary. To prevent similar incidents from creating public backlash that would affect Rhine Lab's growth, who knows how many activities like that Director Saria must have done.
Even so, she must have her reasons for doing so. But regarding this, Saria would never...
You wouldn't be so naive to think that, for Saria to be able to protect all of Rhine Labs, her hands are still squeaky clean. Do you think that in the face of Rhine Lab's overall interests, she would choose to take your side?
I don't believe it. Even if it's just for the sake of Ifrit.
Let me tell you another responsibility that the defense section has. By the section's request, the defense section would be in charge or take part in some of the work in weapons development. Silence. Look carefully at the flamethrower designed for Ifrit, whose signature is on the project approval.
Silence slowly looks over and reaches for the mouse to find that Parvis was indeed correct. Across the line stood Saria's name, and Silence just looked on, frozen with disbelief. Parvis walks closer and speaks up once more.
Look, what a perfect design. Especially with Director Saria's improvements, it manages to perform even better. And do you think that a Rhine Lab higher-up like Saria wouldn't be aware of a project of this caliber? In the pursuit of scientific knowledge, Director Saria and Control would be the most persistent about it in Rhine Lab. I'm sure you must be familiar with the story of when they founded Rhine Lab. I may have had some disagreements with Director Saria, but it was undoubtedly all for the sake of the experiment's results. When me and Director Saria went to meet Control last time, they were mainly concerned about the experiment's safety. I completely understand their concerns. We've reached a consensus about the plan for the experiment. And Director Saria personally promised Control. If Ifrit loses control of her Originium arts, she will be able to eliminate the threat and protect Rhine Lab's safety. That's the kind of resolve that a scientist in pursuit of knowledge should have. Silence. In this aspect, I hope that you can learn from Director Saria.
Parvis then puts his hand on her shoulder and leans in close.
I'll repeat the same words. Think carefully about it, and then come find me. You are my best student. Do not disappoint me.
Silence is left standing there in a distraught state before we cut back to the present, where she was instead walking back into the facility where Ifrit was still reading the book aloud for Dahlia.
The protagonist brought the water sprite across the desert and finally reached the Oasis. The Oasis is filled with fresh flowers and grass. It also has fruits that smell really nice.
Oasis. I want to go.
Sure. When you get better, I'll bring you there. Next is... Okay, they walked to the center of the Oasis where they saw a sparkling lake.
As she continues to read, Silence is seen leaning on a wall with her hands open, listening in on Ifrit's narration before making a fist out of frustration with the situation. We then cut to some point later when Telosis walks in and sets down a drink for an exhausted Silence.
Thank you. Dr. Silence, Dahlia's physiological indicators are lower than the safety standard. We can determine that normal treatment methods would be ineffective. Yes, that's why I must try.
Suddenly the door opens and in walks Kaltsi and Warfarin. Kaltsi is a feline woman bearing silver hair with darker accents on the tips of her ears and a serious demeanor. Warfarin is a pale-skinned vampire Sarkaz woman with blood-red eyes, snow-white hair, and pointy ears.
Dr. Warfarin, Dr. Kaltsi, greetings. Dr. Silence, we have evaluated the latest treatment plan that you have submitted. We still have a few questions we want to discuss with you about chimeric treatment. Was this the project that you were researching about during your time in Rhine Lab? Yes.
It certainly is the most advanced experimental treatment we have for late-stage neuropathy. Rhodes Island is also doing similar research, but Dahlia's life signs are very poor. Normally speaking, it's not suitable for her to receive any more treatment. The chances of success are very low.
I
understand, but if we give up, the chances of success are 0. Khalsi and Warfarin glance at one another briefly before Silence speaks back up. I understand your concerns. I'm willing to lead this treatment. I'll bear all responsibilities. Suddenly, fractured shards appear, and within each of them, a memory of Silence's time at Rhine Lab is reflected before we cut back to the past. We can then see Albert pushing along Ifrit in a wheelchair while the other 3 medics who have been assisting are walking alongside her.
Did you see that? The last target melted. This is the first time I saw Originium arts with this much power. We're going to succeed soon. Ifrit! Silence? Where did you guys go during the day?
Ifrit went to test the flamethrower prototype. Director Parvis said that thing can help her release the pressure created by her Originium arts.
Silence looks down with a scowl before checking on Ifrit.
Ifrit, are you alright? I'm alright. I'm just a little tired. How could you guys let a child test that thing?
Silence, take good care of her. Afterwards, there'll be an important experiment. Make sure you don't miss it.
You. Albert then interjects and tries to stop Silence when suddenly Saria makes her appearance. Silence? This catches everyone off guard, but Ifrit wastes no time and rushes out of the wheelchair before embracing Saria with a big hug.
Saria!
Ifrit, long time no see.
Director Saria, we still have work to do. Please excuse us.
Leon and the others then hastily leave the area when Albert speaks back up.
That's great! Director Saria is back. At least Leon and the others wouldn't dare to... Silence?
But as he turns to face Silence, he notices the distraught look on her face when Saria approaches. Silence, how has it been? Good job on your fieldwork. During this period, we've been following the treatment plan for Ifrit, made after the discussion between you and Director Parvis. Saria seems puzzled by Silence's cold response and lack of eye contact, but directs her attention back to Ifrit. Ifrit, have you been doing well?
I'm doing pretty well. During the treatment, when you're not here, I can endure the pain. I did burn some stuff a little bit, but I've been doing my best to endure it. I'm not causing trouble anymore.
You've done really well. Here's a candy as a reward. Silence watches as Saria passes Ifrit the candy, and it's clear she's torn on how to feel about the situation.
It's orange flavored. Does Saria like orange flavored candy?
I've never tried it before. I don't usually eat candy. Ifrit then pauses before taking the candy, biting half of it off, and literally putting the other half in Saria's mouth.
Is it delicious?
It's delicious.
Then next time, let's try my most favorite strawberry flavor.
Sure.
Saria, you've been gone for a long time this time. Does that mean you can come and visit me in the future?
Sorry, I still can't visit you till next time. I still have some work to do outside.
Outside? That's nice. I haven't been able to go outside for a long time.
Silence, can Ifrit go outside the HQ for a walk? Silence hesitates and struggles to give an answer when Albert notices and speaks up.
Outside might not be possible, but there shouldn't be a problem if it's the garden in the HQ building.
Do you want to?
Yes!
We then shift over to an expansive interior garden that lies beneath an intricate glass dome where we can see various flora and even some butterflies flying around. Ifrit is amazed at the array of flowers before her, and as Silence watches on, she can't help but crack a smile before switching back to parent mode.
Ifrit, don't run too fast. Your body is still exhausted. Silence, come here. This flower is so beautiful.
Silence then walks over and picks the flower Ifrit was looking at before placing it in her hair.
And it looks so beautiful on Ifrit. Saria, come here quick! Saria should wear one too.
This... I don't need it.
Ifrit?
Ifrit then helps fix one of the flowers to Saria's hair as well, and by the look on her face, it's clear that she was not used to this kind of treatment and looks down in embarrassment.
Saria looks so nice, right, Silence?
Yes. Ifrit then asks for permission to explore another area. After Silence agrees and she goes running off, she leaves the two of them standing there. Saria gently touches the flower in her hair when Silence finds the nerve to speak up.
Director Saria, there's something I want to ask you.
What do you want to ask about?
Last time you said that Ifrit was the one who caused the incident in Hayden Lab. Why was Ifrit in Hayden Lab? What did she experience?
I cannot reveal the details of this incident yet.
The reason why there's currently no reports about the truth of the incident, is it because it's not allowed?
Yes, and the things you already know about should be kept a secret too. There are a lot of reasons. It's better if you don't dig too deep. It's for your own good.
Ifrit's treatment has now reached a bottleneck. Not only is the treatment effectiveness not obvious anymore, it's also giving her a lot of pain. I wish to stop the chimeric treatment.
Have you discussed this with Director Parvis?
The professor disagrees with stopping the treatment.
Right. Last time, when we met Control was also very clear in disagreeing with stopping the treatment, since chimeric treatment was shown to have been effective in saving Ifrit's life. It gave Director Parvis even more reason to continue the treatment. And the last time, I've reached a consensus with Director Parvis that the treatment will continue on the condition that safety is guaranteed.
The consensus you spoke of, does that include how to deal with Ifrit if she loses control?
Did Director Parvis tell you something? That's part of my duty. I have to protect Rhine Lab, but that's just a hypothetical worst-case scenario. Don't worry too much about it.
Protect Rhine Lab. Then who would protect Ifrit?
Of course I don't want Ifrit to get hurt too. That's why we must be very careful with our actions. Everything we do is all for the sake of protecting Ifrit. Silence clenches her fist before speaking back up and asking, but what if it still happened? That's a very scary scenario. Silence, we shouldn't be based on such a premise. I can only say, we must do everything we can to avoid it from happening. Silence bites her lip and looks down in frustration, before calmly responding,
You're right. I should do everything I can.
Saria agrees, but the two of them are interrupted by Ifrit running back up.
Silence, come here quick! There's some really beautiful flowers over there! Ifrit, we should go back. Oh. Then, will you bring me here again in the future? Yes, I will. Yay! Ifrit, I must do everything I can do.
We then cut to later where Silence is looking over one of the drugs her and Saria discussed when they first started working together. Silence then makes her way to where Albert and Lamy were working.
Albert, Lamy, I have a favor to ask the both of you. I want to sneak Ifrit out of Rhine Lab. I know that this is a very unreasonable request. It might get you in a lot of trouble, but I can't do this alone. Of course, if either of you aren't willing...
The two of them then look at one another and without hesitating respond,
What do we need to do? You guys...
We saw it with our own eyes. Everything about this is unusual. We don't know what kind of promises Director Parvis made to Leon and the others. They seem so obsessed. Right now, it is very clear that they are doing illegal human experimentation on Ifrit. We could not accept this, but we feel helpless about our inability to do anything.
If Silence has a way, we'll do everything we can to help.
The next part plays out like one of those movie scenes where, as they discuss what each person needs to do, it's being accomplished in the background to prepare for it to all come together.
We'll make Ifrit look like she is dead, and then we'll ship Ifrit out of Rhine Lab as a corpse.
Given Rhine Lab's strict security, this is the only channel that can work.
I understand.
Albert, do you have any way to handle the morgue? If we can't ship Ifrit out of there in time, she'll be cut open for the autopsy.
Don't worry, the guys at the morgue have been selling corpses illegally. I'll give them an offer they cannot refuse.
But what about the drugs for faking her death? I don't remember us having that type of thing.
I have a general idea, but we'll still need some more precise data. Saria. Director Saria. She mentioned that the defense section has used a specialty drug that can fake one's death. That means Rhine Lab must possess some data about this type of drug.
I have a reliable friend who works at the data center. I'll ask for her help to find it.
Speaking of which, why don't you ask for Director Saria's help, if it's her—
No. The situation is complex. Director Saria might even be involved in it. We cannot walk ourselves into a trap.
Finally, there's the raw materials for the drugs. I've checked some of it. Some of them are illegal. We might not be able to get it from the civilian market.
Don't worry. Because Leon and the others are really bad at drug formulation, even now they're still leaving the job of formulating Ifrit's injection agent to me. I'll use this chance to get the raw materials we need from Rhine Lab.
So, in her eyes, Leon's drug formulation is considered bad?
Is this the arrogance of model students?
Hey!
And then we'll mix the drugs into the injection agent?
No, Leon will check the injection agent. The injection machine will notice any abnormalities too. We'll need to think of another way to give this drug to Ifrit. The preparations were all coming to a close as we can see Silence hard at work making the pseudo-death drug when she nails it. This is it. We'll do this during the next experiment. We then cut to the lab where Ifrit was to receive her injections and the three of them begin to put their plan into motion. Albert is with Ifrit when Lamy confirms the coast is clear, allowing Silence an opportunity to meet with Ifrit before the experiment begins.
Silence! Can you come to my treatment now?
Shh. How about Saria? Is she here too? Saria... Didn't she say it already? She won't be here this time. Oh. I brought you a candy this time, though. It's your favorite strawberry flavor. Oh. Here, eat this candy up. You won't feel so painful during the treatment.
Okay.
Albert then pops in to warn Silence that the others were coming when she turns back to see that Ifrit was already eating the candy. Okay, I'll be leaving first. Okay. Oh, right, Silence. Can you let Saria visit me when she comes back? I prepared a present for her. Alright. Silence leaves the room in time and we then cut to everyone making preparations for this session of the injections when Silence approaches Parvis. Professor?
Silence, you're here. Have you cleared your mind?
I don't have a choice, do I? And I have already done so much. I don't want to miss this moment.
Get to your station, Silence.
And with preparations complete, the injections begin to go underway once more, when suddenly, Ifrit's eyes go wide, and her body flexes against the restraints uncontrollably as a toll begins to set in on her once more. Silence is able to confirm that the readings are normal, but
Endure it.
suddenly an explosive fire emits from Ifrit in tandem with the uproar of her screams. Everyone was watching on in anticipation, but for different reasons. Silence was keeping an eye on both her charts and the time when suddenly the graphs on Silence's screen drop drastically. Ifrit's flames begin to subside, and she is left laying there, appearing lifeless. Albert, Lamy, and Silence are all left speechless when one of the medics calls out to Parvis.
Director, the test subject's life signs are dropping rapidly.
All stations, check the situation.
The room begins to go into a panic, but one by one, everyone goes through the different status checks, just unsure of what could have possibly been happening. Amidst all this chaos, though, Silence seems to have the calmest demeanor, and Parvis turns her way.
Where did it go wrong?
Cardiac stimulant ineffective. The test subject is going to die.
The test subject's heartbeat is stopped.
Stop the experiment! Save the test subject!
We did it.
Just then, Leon runs into the room to check on Ifrit when all of a sudden the heartbeat monitor shows a pulse.
Heartbeat. There's a reading!
Silence lowers her head in disbelief as everyone tries to assess just what happened when Silence and Parvis simultaneously think,
What happened?
Suddenly, Ifrit's body jolts upward against the restraints when the medic watching her vitals speaks up once more.
Test subject's heartbeat rate has reached 240 BPM. Why?
Silence grits her teeth in frustration when, suddenly...
Leon, get out!
Huh? Without a chance to even react, Leon is suddenly engulfed in fire, and as Ifrit regains consciousness, she loses all sense of control, and the sheer force of her arts blasts through the protective glass and sends everyone flying backwards. As everyone collects themselves, they all look up at the unfolding situation in horror. Everyone but Parvis, whose face is suddenly adorned with the smile of a madman. Before them stood Ifrit, surrounded by a veil of fire that shaped itself into a demonic visage. What remained of the medics scrambled to escape the room while Parvis just stood there watching. Albert and Lamy attempt to pull Silence away from the situation, but Silence looks on at Ifrit, horrified at this overwhelming power, when we cut back to the present.
Dr. Silence, don't blame yourself. Dahlia's life signs were too weak. You tried your best.
It's then shown that the chimeric surgery was brought to a screeching halt before they attempted to resuscitate Dahlia with CPR. Though it was successful,
We should change the treatment to palliative care. At least let the kid feel a little bit better.
we can then see Ifrit with her face buried in her knees, clearly frustrated with the situation.
We'll save you. There must be a way.
We then cut to Silence at her desk, where she was beating herself up for not being able to save Dahlia.
I couldn't do anything. Again. Ifrit. Dahlia too.
Telosis then approaches Silence and places her hand on her shoulder.
Dr. Silence, you did everything only you can do for both Ifrit and Dahlia. Right now, nobody can give Dahlia an effective treatment. It's not your fault.
Suddenly, they're interrupted by the intercom. Dr. Silence, please come to the ICU immediately.
What's wrong?
Dahlia disappeared.
What?
We're then shown the now vacant bed where Dahlia was resting, and that's where this chapter ends. Well, that was one of the chapters where I'm just kind of at a loss for words. I will give praise to the overall delivery and execution of the story. I know I said this before, but it really does remind me of how Full Metal Alchemist plays out, where each feeling it's trying to convey hits right on the mark, whether it's tragedy, comedy, or a wholesome moment. Now, we only have technically 3 episodes left, but we are also going to be doing the watch party still. If all goes well with the upload, this should be posted on Friday before the stream tonight at 10 Eastern. If anyone wants to come swing by, I will make sure that posts with the new YouTube link. Essentially, they do generate each time for YouTube as opposed to Twitch, so I'll have a fresh one posted in the description and comments of the live video when it goes up. If you do enjoy the content from the channel, a like is always appreciated, and subscribing is a great way to stay up to date on everything going on. As always, I appreciate everyone for coming through. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and take care.